You know, if you just run through the statistics of what's going on, we talked about the jobs numbers, but you know that the credit card delinquency rate in this country is now north of 9%. That means that over 1 in 11 of our fellow citizens cannot afford to pay their bills. 1 in 8 auto loans are in delinquency right now. That means a lot of our fellow citizens can't afford to make their car payment because of Kamala Harris's economic policies. This election is not just about giving the American people a better president, though that's obviously a big part of it. This election is fundamentally about whether the American dream is going to be affordable for our fellow citizens. And I think that we have got to do better. There are so many people out there that are struggling. I know in the city of Flint and all over this great state, there are a lot of people who are working hard, they're playing by the rules, and they're falling further behind instead of getting further ahead. Wouldn't it be nice to have a president of the United States who made it easier for American citizens who work hard and play by the rules to afford the American dream again? Wouldn't it be nice, instead of having Kamala Harris, who'd like to buy oil and gas from tin-pot dictators all over the world, to have a president who wants to buy American energy from American workers and from American territory? We got plenty of it. And you know, when they ask Kamala Harris, I feel bad sometimes when I watch these Kamala Harris interviews, because they'll say, well, Kamala Harris, what is your exact plan to make groceries and prescription drugs and gasoline affordable again? What is your specific plan to fix what you've been breaking over the last 4 years? And she'll say, well, I grew up in a middle-class family. Or, you know, they'll say, Kamala Harris, the world is on the cusp of a major conflict. You've got a war in Asia, you've got a war in Europe, you've got war all over the place. What is your plan to restore peace and stability to a broken world? And she'll say, well, you know, when I worked at McDonald's, I was very good at making the hash browns. And, you know, those of us who, first of all, I think maybe Donald J. Trump has spent more time working at McDonald's than Kamala Harris has at this point, but who knows? Maybe she's telling us the truth, maybe she's not. But here's the thing. If you cannot answer specific questions about what you want to do for the American people, then you have no business being near the Oval Office of the United States of America. We know what Kamala Harris is going to do because we know what Kamala Harris has already done. She cast the deciding vote on trillions of dollars of new spending. She bragged about being the last person in the room when important decisions were made over the last 4 years. We know what Kamala Harris is going to do because we know what Kamala Harris has already done. And I'd like to borrow a line from my running mate when we're going to say tomorrow to Kamala Harris, you are fired, go back to San Francisco where you belong, we don't need you in the White House. Now, I will say, I've asked you to say a prayer for Tim Walz, and I'm going to say something nice about Kamala Harris. Look at me, being all nice to the Democratic opposition here. But here's the thing I'll say about Kamala Harris. While, yes, she's done a lot of bad things, and she's screwed up in a whole lot of ways as Vice President of the United States, the one thing I'll say about Kamala Harris is that every time she gives an interview, I think we gain about 100,000 votes. And so, you know, what? Yeah, I said this to the president a few weeks ago. You know, one of our closing campaign strategies, we should just get Kamala Harris out there doing as many interviews as possible, because that's how I think we're gonna persuade the people of Michigan. Because look, when she's got a teleprompter in front of her, she'll talk a big game about how she's going to be different. She'll say a lot about how she's nothing like Joe Biden. She'll even say things like, on day one, we're going to tackle the affordability crisis affecting American families. And I think all of us with a lick of common sense are saying, Kamala, day one was 1,400 days ago. What the hell have you been doing the whole time? Stop talking about doing your job and go and do it. But here's the thing. Every now and then, she'll give an interview. And I don't know if you saw this, but a couple of weeks ago, she did an interview with The View. Have you guys seen this interview that she did with The View? A few of you have said no. A few of you said yes. Here's the thing. If you haven't seen that interview, I don't want you to see the interview until tomorrow, because we need you as sharp as possible in this last stretch, and you lose about 20 IQ points if you watch Kamala Harris on The View. But here's the thing. They ask her, you know, you're going around the country pretending you don't even know who Joe Biden is. What would you have done differently over the last 4 years? And Kamala Harris says, nothing comes to mind. That's a direct quote. Not a thing comes to mind that she would have done differently. Now, that could be, if we're being fair, that could be the slogan of the Harris-Walz campaign. Harris-Walz, nothing comes to mind. What would you... What are you going to do about that wide open southern border? Nothing comes to mind. What are you going to do to undo the broken economic policies that make groceries unaffordable? Nothing comes to mind. That could be, again, the slogan of their campaign, but what it revealed is the lie at the heart of the Kamala Harris campaign, because while she says that she's somehow going to be different, even though she can't give you the details on how, we know that Kamala Harris is more of the same. More of the same unaffordable groceries, more of the same unaffordable health care, more of the same wide open southern border, more of the same failed leadership in Washington, D.C. And I think that Michigan, tomorrow, we're going to vote for a change. We're going to vote to take this country in a new direction. We're going to vote for prosperity. We're going to vote for Donald J. Trump for President of the United States.